Good morning, grown Black folks talk. Winter is gone, spring is here. I'm going to keep saying it because there are quite a few people who don't seem to understand that's part of the natural cycle and do not understand that um, life ebbs and flows and is seasonal, really. And that just because we don't do things their way, they have control over our weather. And no, today is March 21st, still springtime. Your life can be built up that way too. And yesterday I was in a room where we could definitely see this wonderful room of Black women. This is a conversation that if you are tired of fussing and fighting, this is a good conversation for you to have a look at. I want to give a public thank you to Confidence with Love, BWMMB, Toradol, all of whom were my companions as Confidence with Love hosted a conversation called Noir, Aunties. And we explored the African American concept of the auntie all the way back from basically the dawn of civilization to the present day, and how that concept among Black women exists of how we not only will take care of our mates and our children, but we are, as I said there, the excess love of the community. Confidence with Love related it to how when children were sold from plantation to plantation, who came to take care of them? Generally, this archetype of Black women who knew that love was not scarce, that concern was not bound just to whoever was making, floating your boat that day, but that you were called. It was part of your calling as a human being to love, to center those who were most in need, elders and children. She said, in a matriarchy, elders and children are positioned first. In a patriarchy, men, no matter what their condition, are positioned over everybody else. That's a very long historical view about the different ways to live in the world. And I thought to myself, okay, is this why there is some this is why there is some conflict, but we didn't discuss the conflict per se. I think in 4.5 hours it was referenced 3 times, and that's it. This was a wonderful conversation between four powerful Black women. We have big personalities. We have a great deal. We've lived long enough to have a lot to say about the world we live in, about the women who auntied us, good or bad, but with respect, and about how we want to be of service to younger Black women and children. And recognizing that this is not 1823 or 1923 or even 1998. This is 2023. So our generation has more choices than that which came before in terms of who to listen to, but the next generation has even more choices in terms of who they wish to listen to. And how do we come together in such a way that we honor and value one another, as opposed to just assuming that because we've reached a certain age, we have all this right to speak into, to advise and guide and dominate other people's lives. It was so beautiful to see four Black women in their element. That is, not talking about things from a viewpoint that someone has to dominate and be dominated, that someone has to come in and humble everything, and that hierarchy has to be someone over the top giving orders to everybody else. The idea that there is an abundance of space and love and ability, that the concept of auntie may even be too small because we have the internet, meaning that Black women are potentially able to reach people around the world with even simple videos like this. And that we do not have to let anyone in the room who would demean, demoralize, and destroy, and can still have such powerful conversations. It was a beautiful day. It was a room where we came to mind to listen to each other, understand, and to build. The very thing I was saying I wanted to be part of when I was on my walk yesterday. I'm going to put this in the description. Noir Aunties on Confidence with Love's channel. And if you are looking for a way to understand more about the life of Black women from Black women's perspectives, if you are looking for a way to have the discussion with other Black women, or even just to get some concept for yourself about who, who we are as we age, who we mature to, the value that we have across all generations, and the fact that we have a right to say yes or no to this concept for ourselves, and others have a right to say yes and no. That even if we accept this concept of auntie, we have a right to vet and to decide how we show up in that role. The idea that we can take large historical context and sit together and decide, okay, how do we individually feel like we're going to use this for the betterment? And how do we do this in a way that honors our needs also? This was a good conversation. It's not going to get the eyeballs of many conversations that are more dramatic. This video won't get those eyeballs, but that's okay because everybody is not on the same journey at the same time. As I said, people have to be ready for whatever it is you have to offer. But I am going to be seeking to be in rooms where there's ideas and people come to grow and build and understand together and do things together. This is what I want in 2023. Spring is still too beautiful to spend time in rooms arguing with people who are not going where I'm going, don't believe what I believe. And I don't mean that I won't contend for my faith. I do that here all the time. Y'all know those shameless plugs for Jesus Christ are always going to be coming out. But that doesn't mean that all of us had slightly different belief systems that we were. I mean, even Christianity has a spectrum, and particularly American Christianity. Now, from my perspective, of course, heterodoxy is a thing, but I'm in someone else's room. Home training is important. I'm not going to do a separate video about that, but home training is important. You know, mind the rules of the house you're in. You don't always have to come in trying to assert dominance, assert that you are the only one right. See, being responsible to be a good citizen and a good ambassador is very important. Everybody understood the assignment. It was so nice to be in a room where everybody understood the assignment. And that's what I'm looking for this year. I'm not impressed with having the same old arguments over and over. And like I've said before, there will be drags. Many of you came in here because of a couple of epic drags that I did. That will happen occasionally. Still, because someone's going to serve themselves up and do something utterly destructive and ridiculous and will get served up. I mean, about 5, 10 times a year that happens. But in terms of what I bring to the channel and what I bring to you, I want to bring things that we need in terms of being able to listen, build, and listen, understand, and build together. Even if your together is not with me necessarily, because there's thank you to all 871 of you that remain. Even if you're not building with me, things will allow you to, as BWMB said, you know, in a sense at our age, we're auntieing each other now. You know, the good side of that concept, but she said also we're remothering because sometimes there are mother wounds and sometimes those gaps are left and we have to fill them for ourselves. Hopefully leave you resources that will help you do that. I want to thank those of you, my subscribers, who I see trickling into my calmer, more concept-based, thoughtful-based videos. I love to see the dedication to learning. I do. And even those of you that got blocked over the weekend, I know that some of you have come back on your private accounts. But as I say all the time, permanent listener status is fine. Hang around. Keep listening. You may hear something that may be to your benefit when you're ready. Y'all have a good day now. Yesterday was cold and beautiful, and today winter tipped back in and said, you know, all those days that y'all took from me last year, y'all talking about ain't no winter. You gonna pay for those. Yeah, it's springtime, but winter weather has not quite left California. We're in a wet period, which is good. We had drought. I'm not going to show you the dried up summer mountains we've been having. No, because this year we are working with the good and the beautiful. There are enough people telling us that we are worthless, that we have no value, that we only have value doing things the way they want it done. There's been enough people over the last 400 years saying that. We're not doing that over here. Y'all have a good day now. I will be back, Lord willing, later on with some Bible study content. I'm a little bit behind this week as well. It's hard to concentrate in the spring allergy season, but I will be back because usually I have that up for you by Wednesday. So we will not be quite finished. We have an extra week because I have to turn the page from, okay, the prayer that we do, and we'll transition this week, and then next week we'll close out with, okay, well, what about when you're asked to be the servant of the prayer that you prayed? In other words, you get up on your knee, you get off your knees. God said, okay, now I want you to be the agent to answer that prayer for someone. Then what? We'll find out. Y'all have a good day now, and I'll talk with you soon. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.